All right, guys, real quick, we are going to chat about my new Certiflat table. So let me run inside and we'll talk real quick. So the Certiflat table, I didn't get a chance to put on my channel. I've been too busy of me actually putting this thing together. But I'll give you guys a little backstory. So I bought this about a month ago. This is a Certiflat 4-foot wide by 10-foot long, which it's not actually 10-foot long. It's 118 inches. And then I got a 3-foot by 1-foot fab wing. Well, two of them. There's one on the table there. There's one right there. And then excuse all the mess and stuff here, but there is this vise mount goes on there. Got some squares. I got all sorts of accessories like them little screw fab bolts. Table dogs, you know, things like that. Got some of those squares, all that. I bought the table. Everything was great. Got it shipped here. It showed up. I'll insert some pictures here. It showed up with the pallet absolutely demolished. Like demolished. And that started things off on a pretty bad foot. There was nothing missing, but things were beat up pretty bad. You can kind of see it right there on that. See how peened in that is? That is not ground. That should be a nice square corner, just like that. See how peened in that is? Not a huge thing, you know, especially for a metal guy. Not a big deal. But, you know, it is what it is. Not great. Not great to pay so much money for something and it come in that way. No fault of Certiflats. And I want to, I'm going to reiterate that probably a few times in this video. I am not bashing Certiflat. I just think, I want to do this video because I think some people should just know what they're getting. And I don't really mean that in a bad way, but I think you should be prepared. And no videos I've found online told me any of these things. The shipping is not, that's not Certiflat's fault. I think they made a pretty valiant effort to have have it on a nice plate, or a nice pallet and all that. So I don't really feel like that's their fault. But nonetheless, it wasn't good. Another big issue is, let me see if I can scoot that over. I've done one little project. You can see some stuff here, one little tiny project. Other than that, this table has just sat here and it's, as you can see, just basically storage. I've been trying to get it sold because it's just not going to work for me, but we'll talk about that more here in a second. So anyway, it came in, and those are like some serious deep gouges. Like that one is, I think you can see it. And just like this, sometimes they go into these holes. Makes a serious edge in that hole. Again, I'm a metal guy. I can fix that. No problem. But I just paid $6,000 or more than that with all this stuff. For this table, I'm pretty rubbed raw at this point. There's some more smaller versions. You know, this was not on here. I mean, this is that wing. It's just bolted on. This is the actual edge of the table here. But there's actually quite a few of these gouges. It's not just here. There's some more underneath there. There's some more over there. It was beat up pretty bad. There's a pretty deep gouge. Every corner, all 4 corners of this top plate was beat pretty hard. Yeah, it was in pretty rough shape, and almost 95% of the damage was to the actual tabletop. All the other stuff stayed good. So, because this was on the bottom of the pallet underneath of everything. And the bottom of the pallet is what was completely destroyed. And, this was the size of the pallet, was the size of this table. So all 4 corners were beat up. I mean, it was not good. So fast forward, it took me about a week to get it completely off the pallet. And that's when I started noticing how bad it was. These, disclaimer, I did not notice these until after I got this thing flipped over. Because that was a whole chore, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I emailed the company, and this is the part that I don't want anybody to think I'm bashing them, because I am not. And if they watch this video, I'm not. But yeah, it's just, again, my experience with it. So I emailed the company and actually talked to a specific, I believe his name was Jesse, and told him the deal and sent him pictures, which I showed you guys a second ago. Sent him pictures. He got right back to me. I'm talking like 10 minutes later in an email, got right back to me and, asked some stuff and asked if I notified with the carrier and all that, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, after 2 or 3 emails, he's like, hey, if you want, just set all that stuff back on the pallet and we will have, it was Expo Logistics is who brought it out, which please never use them. He's like, we'll have them come pick it up and we'll send you a new one. Should I have done that? Yeah, probably I should have. But again, really wanted this table. Again, I'm a metal guy. I can fix these things. Not a huge thing. And I was at the point of didn't take exceptionally long, but it did take, a week and a half, whatever it was, to get it here. Had some projects coming up. Really wanted to use it. I'm just like, no. And I had some stuff, personal stuff that I knew I was going to have to leave town for. And so I really wanted to get it up and just get it going. So that's what I did. I decided, nope, I'm going to keep it. Well, fast forward. I think this was before the fast forwarding. I'm sorry, I'm off track here. Now fast forward a week. I got everything taken apart off the pallet. And, this thing is heavy. This is a 4x10 sheet, 1/4 inch. It's heavy. If you're ever looking at getting one of these, I recommend getting 2 small tables and bolting them together, which is what I was originally going to do. Because this is a lot. It's heavy. It's big. It was no fun. So when I went to put it together, I took my big old table here. Well, I just stayed right there. And then I've got that. It's a metal top, really stout built table right there. And I put it here and that table there. And I got a machine in here and I lifted this tabletop upside down, obviously. This side here was down. And I put it between them. Okay, I've found no real videos of any nature on how to put these big tables together. Only few videos I found that are pretty big, like 4x8s, they already have one of these tables to put them together. Okay, I do have this, but the reason I was getting away from this, going to this, is this is not even remotely flat. I get by with it. I use it a lot. I've drilled some 5/8 holes in it to use for some different stuff. It works fantastic, but it's really not that flat, like at all. Like, you might even be able to see it. Not very well, but there's a hump down there that is quite large. And then it's got a crown this way. It's not flat. So I wasn't going to build it on top of it. And so I spanned it across and I watched some of their videos and I was looking at how to do it. So I started following as much as I could on the videos, which again, most all the videos I found were of those small tables with the small little, like 2-inch tall cross sections, which if you guys have never seen one of these, those cross sections are huge. They're like 8 inches tall, 6 inches tall, 8 inches tall. Yeah, so they're massive. So I laid them all in there, through this tab and slot system. What I never did really find, that could just be my negligence, and that's fine, is welding in these slots here. I wasn't too into that because I didn't want, where's an example, like this issue, of it getting out here on top and then having to grind on it. See, like this on this wing. I did it on this wing, and it confirmed my thing if I don't really like it. Most of these are okay, but not all of them. So then you'd have to be grinding on this top. Well, it's supposed to be flat. So plus, I would have to do all this overhead because this thing is massive. Because in the instructions for all the small tables, you're supposed to put them on there upside down, get all your cross beams in and tack them together, I believe is how it's supposed to be, and then flip it over and then weld in all these slots. Well, how the hell, I'm sorry, some people maybe can, But I'm not flipping that thing back and forth, back and forth. It weighs 1,500 pounds or whatever it is. And it's huge. So I didn't have the stuff to do that. I'm not blaming Certiflat. I'm sure that's my problem, that I didn't have the right equipment. But, I mean, I'm kind of your average guy. I'm not going to have a massive machine that can flip this. When I got it all done, I used a 305 cat excavator, and it was, weight-wise, it wasn't really a struggle, but it was a bit of a struggle because this thing is massive. So, anyway, I spanned it across there, which, yes, the whole middle was open, which, yes, it was sagging, fair enough. I started tacking the frame together, and then I used these U-bolts to go up from the bottom through the 2-inch holes. These are just the right width to go through 2-inch holes. Actually, I went down from the top. This was the brace. Here, I'll just show you. So it actually came up from the bottom through the brace, because if you look, see there's the opening in there. So it went up through the top, up through the top, and then I clamped them down at every one of these stabs. I bought like 20 of these, 25 of these, and so there was one here, there was one here, there was one here, there was one here. I mean, everywhere. I did it in sections. Started at the middle and worked my way one way and then worked my way the other way. I mean, I don't know how else I was supposed to do it. Yes, I'm a little frustrated. I'm not bashing Certiflat. I'm just kind of frustrated at the method of how you're supposed to do these big tables. This seems like only something a really large fab shop with already one of these tables that's already flat should be doing. And that's fine. Maybe I overstepped my bounds, but nowhere did anybody say anything about that. In any videos, any literature from the company, nothing. So to me, I'm frustrated by that. And I'm going to say it probably for the millionth time, I'm not bashing Certiflat. I think it's a great system, but some of this stuff is just, I don't know. It just feels like it's just do it on your own. Now, again, yeah, I'm, albeit not a full-on large-scale shop, big-time professional, does this, every day, all day long, but, still, I don't know. I'm frustrated with it. But, so, anyway, I got it together, and it's not going to show on camera. But it's not going to show on camera. I should put a piece of flat up on here. But it's got however you want to look at it. I consider it an 1/8-inch crown. If you clamp a really rigid piece of, like, square tubing across here, you clamp it right here. Over there, it's up 1/4 inch. So when you unclamp it from here, it sits flat in the center, 1/8 inch, however you want to look at it. It's quite a bit. That's almost more than this table. And this is just an old piece of 5/8 hot rolled steel. I mean, it's nothing special at all. So that was where my ultimate frustration ensued. I put a lot of work into putting this together, and then only to have a big crown in it. The edges are good. The ends are decent, but the center has a big... And I know, I understand that was from having it span between these two tables, but I did the best I could. I used some jacks underneath. I did all sorts of things. I tried to follow their stuff as much as possible, and that's what I came up with. The other big thing is, like I was saying earlier, I did not weld in here because this would have been all overhead. I did some of these in the very, very beginning were a little too big, which I fully understand. But the experience I do have tells me this was not enough to be warping that table like that, because it's only on this first section. From then on, it was basically just tacks. Just tacks everywhere. But I did weld from the bottom. But again, basically it's just a tack. I plan to go through and fill these in now that I've read that. But a lot of the first videos I watched, and you know, again, just kind of my negligence. First videos I watched, nobody ever said to do that. Maybe I just watched the wrong videos. Most of the videos from weld tables or tab and slot are like 8 years old or something like that. I don't remember that being said. I could have easily missed it. You know, that's totally my problem. But I'm fairly confident these tacks everywhere did not warp this table like this. So, anyway, I'm not blaming the warp on Certiflat. I'm just frustrated that a table of this size, the method of putting it together, somebody should have said, hey, you know, the way this table has to be, you have to build it on something extremely flat. I was under the understanding that if you put the framework underneath together, the way they said, that it should come out, and you use the clamps like I did and squeeze it up tight, every one of these tabs, it should come out nice and flat. And that, I was very let down by that. So, you know, you guys can roast me in the comments. You know, that completely could be my negligence. But it should be said for anybody looking at these tables. A table this large, good luck getting it flat if you don't already have a table this large. That's kind of my point. These are sold as, to my understanding, as a, I guess you'd say more budget-friendly, not on the cheap, but a more budget-friendly version because you put them together and they're not one big platen, you know, like Fireball or Siegmund or whatever. So that was my understanding. Well, somebody that's somewhat on a budget, that ain't going to happen. Because I guarantee you most people on a budget don't even have that. So, yeah. Anyway, so then I've kind of gotten over the flatness, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to, you know, it's basically the same as having that, even though I just paid $6,000 for that. Sorry about the mess. So I'm like, whatever. I'll keep using it. First of all, I did not like 1/4 inch. I'm old school. I know that the whole idea of having the framework underneath, you don't need to have a thick table. Like so. So I'm like, okay. I didn't agree with that, but I'm like, okay, I'll try it. So this is the thickest, no, this is the thinnest they make. They will do 3/8 and or 1/2 inch if you want for a substantial price increase. Okay. So I went with the 1/4 inch. Thought I'd try it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the 1/4 inch. But I think that could be some of it. So I don't know. But then my next thing, I started doing a couple little projects on it. Got some of these table dogs. And I stuck them in there. And camera's probably not going to show it, but I'm not looking for, you know, I don't expect machinist type tolerances, but I don't know how well the camera picks that up, but if you're trying to get something like nice and square, that's a lot. Where you really, really notice it is, let me grab a clamp. So this is a strong hand clamp. Okay, standard clamp, 5/8 in. Slide it in that table. Watch this. So this clamp, when you clamp it all the way down, you almost can't clamp like a sheet of anything. You see, it just binds up right there. You don't have but a few threads left. It just starts to bind. And the thing I've noticed lately, there's been, for this little project I was doing along here, there's a couple of these holes that I used quite a bit. And it got to the point it would just slide right up out of the hole as I was tightening. So that, I won't say I'm bashing Certiflat, but I kind of feel like they need to tighten up tolerances just a little bit on these. And that's something nobody I've seen say in a video. Because I have this table that I used a 5/8 annular cutter. So relatively precision. And this hole, this is just a piece of hot rolled A36. So this hole, like this hole here, is like wallered out. It is not square or not round anymore. And it doesn't even have as much room in it. Find a hole here that I hardly ever use, like this one. And it's like, it is like pretty dang stout. So I mic'd these, and these are like 10 thousandths bigger than 5/8, which to me is excessive. I get it, you don't want them like tight, but that is excessive. And then these don't even fit in 5/8. And watch, they'll fit in this one. No, see, they don't fit. And why they're made bigger, I don't have any idea. And so they're bigger than 5/8, and they still have that much movement. So, a little offshoot, I'm going to solve that with what's coming next by I have a machinist friend that I'm just going to have some of these made by him. Or I'm actually probably going to go make them and work on my lathe skills. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, with this table, I got a whole bunch of this stuff. A bunch of these screw type, which I've got some over here. And these are meant to go down in the hole, which I'm sure everybody that's looked at fixture tables has seen these. These are kind of an odd design compared to what I've seen, but these are meant to go down in the hole. And see, it won't, so that's the whole thing we're going to talk about. And then you tighten up either the top here or this Allen down inside, which you can't, there you go, that pushes these balls out. You gotta get the ball bearings to push out. Well, and again, it's kind of a budget-friendly table, so I understand, but I'm just frustrated by it. Even though they're so much larger, they all have these nice sharp edges, and this little O-ring will not go past it. It will, but I have to spit on them all the time or put grease on them all the time. So then there's grease all over the table. So, but they won't. If you wiggle long enough like that, there it goes. See, that one's about to go. But you have to and then it won't come back out because the bottom has the same. I'm not even going to try. And so I'm just frustrated. I'm not looking for a Siegmund table out of a budget table. But I feel like it could be better for the price you were still paying. I'm not saying everything has to have a radius. I don't know what I'm saying when it comes to that. I guess I'm not saying that Certiflat needs to make this any better. I'm just frustrated by this, and nobody mentioned anything about this in any video I've ever watched. Okay? So I guess that's the point I'm at of, I'm not faulting Certiflat. It's considered a budget-friendly table, even though nobody really tells you that. It's kind of considered a budget-friendly table. That, to me, is a bit of an issue. Now that damn thing's stuck in there. So I'm just frustrated. Offshoot. I also got these little guys, which I'm going to probably either make some or get some more of these. They're supposed to. I haven't really tried them, but they're supposed to fit. You can't really see them. I'm not going to sit and pull them out. But if you see they got that lip, they're supposed to come up through the bottom of the hole, and then this is threaded, so you can tighten a bolt in. I think they're pretty cool. I'll probably make some. But anyway, so trying to get this table sold. Yeah, the leg kit. Sorry, I'm all over the place. The leg kit was pretty nice, but at the same time, I fought with it as well, because if you guys seen how their kits work, their tab and slot system too, you can kind of see right there. See how there's a tab and it goes into this, and then it slides and tightens because you do it upside down. All these ones all fit, but all these short ones there, they wouldn't slide in. They wouldn't do it. So I had to go through every one and file out. Well, I had to do more than file. I had to use a flat cutting wheel on a grinder and cut the slot bigger so they would fall in there. So, yeah, it is what it is. The wheels are nice. They only sent, which I still don't understand. I bought these. They only sent 2 bolts per leg and in a 1/2-inch bolt. So you can't even center up that leg. And obviously these holes are bigger than 5/8, so 5/8 still has wiggle room. So I went and bought a whole bunch of 5/8 bolts, because 2 bolts, especially on these center ones, 2 bolts is ridiculous. See 2 bolts on that big old wide thing? No way. No way. So Went and bought more bolts. You know, I fought with these. You can see which, yes, I got that one on the wrong way. That is totally my fault. I turned this leg. This leg should have been on the other side. The other side should have been here. We won't talk about that. That's completely my fault. But again, tab and slot, which is fine. And there's these threaded holes for the bolt. Well, half them threaded holes were all screwed up. I just sit and thread those. I'm not complaining about the work. I'm complaining that I spent that much money. Nobody mentioned, hey, you're going to probably have to, you know, adjust some things and grind some things and all this and that. For that kind of money, I was kind of expecting, I knew it was kind of a budget-friendly deal, but I was kind of expecting a pretty ready-to-go table once I put it together, and it was kind of a fight. Here's what I'm going to do. I have a company not far from me, about 5 hours from me. It has a very, very high precision. I don't know if it's any more precision than normal. I don't know that, but I just know it's a very high precision laser that can fit up to, I think they can fit higher, but they're telling me I can really only go up to 1/2 inch, which is fine. 1/2 inch and 4 by, what is it? 4 by, I think it's the same as this, like 4 by 118 is about all I can cut, which is fine. But what I did was I made up some of these pieces in Fusion 360, like I would for my plasma table, which I should talk about that another time, but I love that plasma table. But for something high precision like this and a nice square straight hole, I would never use that, ever, especially in 1/2 inch. I don't know if that's common with plasma tables or just mine, but I just wouldn't do it. So I looked at guys for a laser, and I made these up. There's this one, and I've got some others. You can see them stacked right there. I made up all sorts of different designs because I just wanted to see how precision their laser was. Because I drew up the program at 0.625, which, as you guys probably know, is exactly 5/8. Same with this slot. I want to see where their laser cut. Well, they sent me all these parts. Let me go grab my clamp here. They sent me all these parts, and I pulled them right out of the box, did nothing to these holes, which they do, just like this table. They do have a bit of a sharp edge, which I anticipated. That's fine. But this is right out of the hole. I've not ground one of these holes. I've not done anything. And this just slides in there. And that is a nice fit. And that one's even tighter. It is a nice fit, and that is exactly 5/8 is what I had them cut. So, yeah, and this came out beautiful. Their machine does a really nice job. So I started talking to them, and in this material, which is a grade 50, I don't remember what the code is on it, like G572 or something like that. It's a high strength, low alloy, HSLA, grade 50. So in theory, a little bit stronger than this. That's also kind of an offshoot. I was understanding this was kind of a hardened, kind of like this, at least grade 50, kind of a hardened steel, which I don't know my grades very well, but a bit of a hardened steel, it's not. It's just A36, as far as I know, and I'm sorry, Certiflat, if I'm lying to people, I don't mean to. That's as far as I can tell from the website, it's just standard A36, and they call it, Harpo. I don't remember how they worded it, but they made it sound like it's something fancy. I didn't realize a Harpo was just hot rolled, pickled, and oiled. That's my negligence on plate steel and sheet steel. Did not realize that. It's not actually hardened of any nature, as far as I know. So this is not necessarily hardened, but it is a little bit higher grade. It's such a nice fit. Actually, it's only wobbling. That little bit I showed you, that's actually all the more wobble it's got. It's this plate wobbling, if you can see it. If I could hold it down and show you, it's got very little wobble. It's a very, very nice fit. Anyway, so I talked to them about, can they just cut me out a giant sheet of that? Yeah, absolutely. So I put a price together. I can make almost this exact same table from them for, $2,800. That does not include these side panels, which I think I'm okay with. I am going to make a base where they can be put on. But initially I'm not going to do that because I've spent so many years with this table. I'm actually pretty okay with being able to clamp here. I definitely see some uses for that in what I do, but I don't think it's that big of a thing. If it is, I can certainly make them out on Fusion 360 and have those guys cut them and put them on there. But at this point, I don't think I'm going to do these side panels. And then I'm about $900 to $1,000 in steel to build a really nice table. Kind of a cross between this one and this old junky one. I'm probably just going to do 4 corners and then 1 center post. And then have a bunch of runners across out of tubing that will go in between holes. But my biggest thing is I'm looking at probably just doing 4-inch spacing holes and then do the diagonal. So it'd be these two, and then this center one. And that would be the pattern through the whole table. So I'm going to do a whole other video on that if I do that, because that'll be a month or 2 if I get to that. So stay tuned to that. I'm going to do a whole video probably on that. I've already designed it in CAD, but I might do a video showing it. And then if we go ahead and do it, you know, maybe I'll video picking it up and making the table for it and all that, or the base for it and all that. So, but yeah, so that's where I'm headed with that. But I just wanted to kind of put some stuff out there, about Certiflat. Again, you know, Certiflat, if you're watching this, I'm not bashing you guys. You guys offered to send me a new table. Your customer service was good. I'm not offended by that at all. That was great. But I just, for the general public, I think you guys should watch this with an open mind of what to expect. You know, especially a table this big. A smaller table where you can just sit here and flip it back and forth and do it the way they say to do it. That's awesome. I think you should buy it. I think it would be a decent intro table. But you guys wanting these big ones, if you don't already have a big shop with a big flat table, like this is supposed to be, good luck to you. Yeah. I will say one thing, them wheels roll amazing. But that's a whole nother offshoot. But my floor is not perfectly flat like most concrete floors are. Mine's probably a little more unflat than some, but it's not perfectly flat. There's only like 3 wheels at a time that touch. Like right now, those 2 end wheels are not touching. I'm assuming those 2 over there are. And then it looks like that end one's not touching. I mean, there's so many wheels that it's almost too much to me. And I'm sure it just looks like I'm sitting here picking them apart and I'm just stating my, you know, some of my stuff. I really like these. These fab wings are really cool. These didn't come out very square, but again, I used this table to make them, so, but they're not very square. Yeah, so, I don't know. It could be me. And again, Certiflat, if you're watching, sorry guys, I'm not bashing you. I feel like there's some more info needs to be out. Some more real info, you know, not sales pitch info, like real info. My biggest thing for anybody looking at these is, to me, the precision is not there. This is bigger than 5. Look, it doesn't fit in these. It does not fit in a real 5/8 hole. So that's one thing. If you're buying these right off the website, these don't fit in a 5/8 hole. And they still wobble. Yeah. So that's my thing. You're not going to get super good precision in my opinion anyway. So anyway, I'm going to leave it with that, guys. I just want to get the video out so that people, you know, that there's something out there that's more than just, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. I think it could be really good. I just don't have the best experience with it. And I felt like I should probably share that. So anyway, guys, that's my opinion. You know, right or wrong. Again, I'm not trying not to bash them, but it's this stuff that I really think people should know. So, if you guys would please comment, opinions, questions, you know, absolutely. Also, it'd be awesome if you'd like and subscribe. I'm going to be getting better about videos. I know I'm a little bit slow right now, but kind of new to the YouTube game. And it's a lot of work. Those big channels that tell you it's a ton of work, it's a ton of work. So, yeah, it'd be awesome if you guys could like and subscribe and stay tuned for more, especially on that table build. I'm going to try my best to video that really well, and I think it'll be fun. So, yeah, have a good one, guys.